Hopefully what we have here is the first startup of the engine in this little Austin 7 that I've been building. What I want to do today is just see if it runs. I'm not going to try and tune it or rev it or do anything with it. I just want to see if it fires. But what I've got is the engine's installed, obviously. Everything's just sort of temporarily lashed together. So I've got a battery there that's going to the starter motor, and I have another separate little battery that I'm powering the ignition off. And I've already tested the ignition, so I know that that works. The distributor is set statically to where I think top dead center on cylinder number 1 is. I've left this loose so I can adjust it, and I'm going to start off on the more sort of retarded side and advance it as I need to. The carburetor, I've got a fuel inlet pipe now. It's not hooked to anything, so effectively all I've done is I've just filled the bowl with a little bit of fuel, and that should be enough to run it. So put the cap back on. The carb, I've set this the jet to be 1.5 turns down. I'm not sure exactly what it should be for these downdraft style carburetors, but hopefully that's about right. And I've wired the choke, so the choke's on. I've got my oil pressure gauge there. What I'll do is I'll put the camera on the tripod. I'll turn the engine over on the starter a few times until I get oil pressure. Then I'll hook up the ignition and see what happens. I also have a fire extinguisher standing by just in case, but hopefully I don't need it. So what I'll do now is I'll hook up the starter to the battery, and I'll just flick it over a few times till I see some oil pressure. Make sure nothing's hitting, nothing's in the fan, that kind of thing. Austin 7s run very low pressure, so you don't expect to see much anyway. But I think there's something there. So I'll go ahead and connect up the ignition and we'll see what this does. I have one hand on the ignition wire, so I'm ready to shut it down if I need to. So let's see what happens. I don't seem to be getting anything at all, so I'll try advancing it a little. A little bit better. And I've just noticed the lead to the coil is loose, so we'll tighten that. Give it another go. Getting a few little pops out of it, but not much else. We're out of fuel already. Let's see. I think I need to tighten up my distributor because I've noticed it's moving by itself, so I'll stop this and come back to it in a minute. So I've tightened this up. Let's try it again. I'm getting closer. Oh, it almost kicked over then. A little bit more. Almost. I think we can call that a success. Okay, I had to open the door so I don't gas myself. I've given it just a little bit more fuel. I just want to see if it'll start again. The other thing I've done is I've taped the muffler in place. I just want to see if it makes a difference to the noise. So let's just see if this fires again. I know I said I wasn't going to rev it, but it's a bit hard not to. And I've also got decent oil pressure, so that's quite good. As far as I can tell, nothing's leaking. There's a bit of a leak there. Minor leaks, it's an Austin 7, you expect that. So I think we can call that a success. So the next thing I need to do is mount the coil properly, start figuring out all the wiring, actually tune it, sort out a fuel tank and things like that. I also need to sort out the choke and the throttle linkage, which I need to order some parts from the UK to do the throttle. But yeah, that seems really good. I'm quite pleased with that. There's not a big pool of oil underneath it. The radiator's not leaking. The fan didn't fly off. and the carb seems to be working, so that's good. And surprisingly, the muffler is actually muffling. It wasn't too loud, so I think I'll call that a day.